in 2020, a lot of our lives will be changed forever because of the devastation of COVID-19. Now, we've already seen many statistics, many news videos. Many of us have lost people personally. Many of us have experienced it ourselves, the devastating effects of this illness. So I'm not going to go into all of those details. What I specifically wanted to talk about was the crisis that happened in the aftermath and in the wake of the pandemic. Now, I remember when it first happened, for me, it was very difficult to suddenly have my life shifted into my house. I live in New York City, so everything was on lockdown. I couldn't even go to my park. The only things that were open for me were essential businesses. And for me, I have a general anxiety disorder and a clinical depression. And the way how I keep myself level and stable is my structure and my outlets. So when you take both of those things away, it leads me back to the racing thoughts. It leads me back to getting into those bouts of depression where I'm just isolated and sitting by myself and spending too much time thinking about all the things that are wrong in my life and all the things that are wrong with the world. And when that happens, it leads me, I'm somebody who likes to eat, and I'm somebody who eats a lot when I get depressed, which I've recently started to break out of doing that, but at the time, that's what I was doing a lot of. So I was isolating, sitting by myself, watching a lot of Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and I was just gaining weight, and also there were things happening in my world, people getting sick, family getting sick, people dying. It was just a really difficult time for me. And I think that all of us had to come to a point where we were like, okay, this is where my life is now. There's going to be differences in the world now that are permanent. So it's time for me to address what's going on the inside and figure out what I can do from here. Figure out how to make an ironclad, foolproof kind of plan that when different variables like this come into my life, I am able to counter them and make sure that I remain stable. So that's where I came up with this idea of my project called The Silent Pandemic, Our Mental Wellness. I wanted to get at least a few people to talk about what their experience was with the pandemic going on and ways that it affected their mental health, whether good or bad, things that they learned, and ways that they got through it. And this is what I am going to be presenting for you guys. I'm so thankful for those who participated, and without further ado, here they are.
What is going on? This is Wes Bergmann from MTV's The Challenge and The Real World, and I am here to be a contributor for The Silent Pandemic, Our Mental Wellness.
Hi, so I'm Ericka. I am a 32-year-old mother of 3 boys and a business owner. And I support the cause and just like the whole process of creating mental health awareness and spreading the importance of having a healthy mindset, because I believe it affects so much of the world, honestly.
Hi everybody, my name is Myriam, and Mark had asked me to do this recording, so it's an honor. I've been knowing Mark for a few years. We're peers, we've worked together.
In what ways has this pandemic affected your mental health? And what it boils down to is the uncertainty was just really hard to wrap my head around. And, you know, I'm such like a planner and an OCD person that not knowing what was going to happen was very frustrating. I'm also a business owner. We had to shut down. You know, my life's work was basically up for grabs. Now I was able to pivot to do all this stuff to kind of stay proactive and keep myself busy. But I had to lie to myself day in and day out that I was safe, because I wasn't. And that, just weighs on you. And I can't really bring that up to my friends and family because I don't want them to worry.
Even though people have thought for so long that feelings and different things like that didn't matter because they're not tangible, simple things like the type of energy that you project to the world and the energy that you bring to yourself can really be extremely impactful on your coworkers, on your parents, on your any family members, friends, including children, especially children. If you have an unhealthy mindset, you'll make bad decisions and you'll wind up creating something very unhealthy for the children. And even though it sounds very cliche, the children really are the future. Like, the world depends on the children being in the proper mindset when they become adults and start to run things. So I just find it to just be really important.
So we have to think back from 2019. So during that time, that's the first time I ever experienced something like that. All of us, I'm sure. So it did get me a little nervous or out of whack. It was just a hard time. So during that time, I just found ways to keep hope and faith. So it wasn't easy, but I found ways.
Now, number 2, assuming it had a negative impact, in what ways were you able to improve upon your mental health over time? Well, my wife and I went for daily walks. It was a safe activity. We got to stay alone. We got to stay outside. If we ever were passing somebody, it wasn't like that big of a deal. But just like staying mindful with my wife and being outdoors was a good way to kind of get outside of the house without kind of breaking any quarantine rules. And it turned into a habit that we have since done and do to this day, regardless of the fact that if the risk factor has gone down. And so I think that was definitely 100% a very big one.
Health. Honestly, the pandemic was really, really beneficial for me. I was working a dead-end job. I was in an industry that I didn't care much about. I literally hated my job. I've been there for years, and the only reason why I didn't leave is because I just hate filling out applications and that whole process just to work at another job I can't stand. So when the pandemic happened, I was furloughed from my 9 to 5, and I was already a notary in this thing called a signing agent, which is my business. And once the pandemic hit, interest rates on all the houses dropped, which caused my signing agent business to shoot up. And then also, when I was furloughed, the government was giving away unemployment, and it was really, really, it was like a whole lot for me. So I was actually making more on unemployment than I was at my job. So I spent months just like working on my body and going to the gym and eating healthy, and it was a bomb. Anyway, so I enjoyed the pandemic. I was one of the few that was blessed not to get sick. Even though the gym shut down, I was outside jogging. So like, the pandemic opened up different doors for me. It allowed me to see the world in a more beautiful light, honestly.
All right, 2, assuming it had a negative impact, in what ways were you able to improve upon your mental health over the time? And if it didn't have a majority negative impact, what kept you grounded? So what kept me grounded was, believe it or not, keeping the faith. Like I said, I ended up finding God. So like, I felt like it was like since I was in a hard spot, I'm like, there's no way like this is gonna be life. Like, this is the end time. So it was a freaking out. So I just picked up the Bible and I just started reading the word, and I've been praying a lot, and that is what helped uplift me, and that's how I became grounded. That's what helped me, was, believe it or not, was keeping the faith, and God gave me peace. And because of that, I was able to build a network of sisters, and we just uplift each other, and we spoke about during the hard times. So we was always on Zoom, so that helped.
Number 3, what are the best lessons related to mental health that you have learned during this time period, and what has it taught you moving forward that you can or have implemented in your life? Let's start with the fact that it definitely helps a lot when people talk about it, including projects such as this, so that way we don't feel so alone. It's almost like It's almost like mental health is, if you don't know that other people are dealing with similar, if not identical things, you gaslight yourself. And you're like, I'm crazy. I'm all alone in this. What is going on? And then you come to realize that such a large percentage of the world has mental health issues because it just manifests in different ways. We all take our stressors. We all take our natural inclinations. We all do these things that, weigh on us and in various ways break us. And break doesn't mean forever. It just means sometimes we just break a little bit. I know I do. And, when I found out, when I start to discuss this with other people, it just makes it so much easier. So with that said, I appreciate this project. Thanks for including me. I'm out. Bye.
What did I implement in my life? Now that the economy has started to stable out, I kind of feel like it's just really important. What I learned that I wish I would have implemented was, I wish I would have taken financial literacy a little bit more serious. I wish I wasn't spending money so recklessly, and I wish I had a big savings and better investments. So that's just one thing I learned, but that's post-pandemic.
So what are the lessons related to the mental health that you have learned during this time, and what has it taught you moving forward? And what can you have implemented in your life? And because of those hard times, I made sure that I had the proper support system that was also dealing with something similar to like what I was dealing with. So what we used to do was just meet up with each other and just uplift one another. We prayed for one another. We read the word with each other. And because of that, it just kept the hope alive. So that's what worked for me. And that's about it. Thank you so much for hearing me out, and have a good one, guys. Bye.
One thing I remember my parents always having told me in difficult times or difficult situations is like, what is the learning experience here? So for me, the learning experience is pretty clear cut. It is that you need to do things that don't depend solely on outside resources when it comes to your mental health. Like some of the things that were mentioned: prayer, taking walks, in my case, exercising, different things that you can do no matter whether there's a specific building for them, no matter whether there's a group of friends that are with you doing a certain thing. Like, you have to figure out things that you can always do for yourself 24/7, 365 that are pandemic proof. The one thing that I would say that I'm glad about during this time is that a lot of people, both what I see on TV and what people share with me personally, it's a time where we've all been able to put things on the table that we normally avoid, because we normally just go through life, we go to work, we take care of kids, we do whatever we have to do, and we neglect our mental health, and we can still somewhat survive. But when you are left without all of those other distractions and all you have is your own mind, it forces you to think and talk about those things. I'm a mental health counselor, so I spent many conversations talking to people who were crying, devastated. I spent a lot of time talking to people who didn't usually spend time with their family, but all of a sudden they were stuck together because of the lockdown, and it caused a lot of arguments and it caused a lot of different dissension and everything like that. So it's been a great time to just be open, to be vulnerable, to learn what makes you tick, to learn what triggers you, and to learn how to put things in your life that will be there no matter what type of variables are going on around you. And that will not only help for times of crisis, but it will help for times of stability as well, because you're going to say, I've been through the worst of this already. I know what I can do to get through it because I've done it before. Now this is light work. And I really want to encourage anybody who has difficulty or is going through difficult times that they don't feel comfortable talking about. There's many resources out there. There's online therapy. You know, you can go in and see a licensed practitioner. You can talk to a trusted friend. You can talk to somebody in your church, a trusted family member. Just don't suffer in silence. The world needs you. I need you. The people around you need you. Hang in there, and remember, we are all in this together. Have a great day.